To quote Alan Kohler, inflation targeting by the RBA has been a pointless disaster. So let's understand what's behind that statement. First of all, when we have a look at what inflation targeting is, originally it was something that was created probably as a mandate in New Zealand in 1990. In 1991, Canada adopted it as their part of their policy for inflation targeting, and the United Kingdom in 1992. Australia basically adopted it in 1993 when Bernie Fraser had said pretty much in a passing speech that an inflation target of between 2 to 3% would be something that would be ideal. However, it was in the context of the day, because the previous 20 years prior to that point, according to Alan Kohler's article, there had been an inflation average of between 8.7%. Now, if you ask me, 8.7% is pretty high compared to today. However, let's have a look at it a little bit more closely. Today, we have a much, much lower inflation scenario, and apart from probably, say, the more recent couple of years, inflation has been pretty low pretty much since the early 2000s, right up until about just post-COVID lockdown time period. And in the post-COVID lockdown time period afterwards, it was a different scenario where supply chain pressures and also monopoly pressures had an effect upon price. Whereas the consumer direction of probably, say, putting a squeeze on them by lifting interest rates isn't going to have a great deal of effect when you're looking at wholesale prices changing that are way, way outside of the pressure of the scope of the average citizen being able to reduce their spending because they're buying things that they have to buy. And a closer look at what the actual inflation actually is, it's on things that we really, really, really need. Things like supermarket items, things like electricity and gas and petrol prices and rent, and there is basically a shortage at the moment of rental stock. So putting a squeeze on interest rates upon the actual investors in real estate is making it very, very difficult for those who rent properties. And therefore that also feeds back into the inflation scenario itself. The upshot of all of this, as far as Alan Kohler's article is that he basically says, why don't they adopt a more flexible scenario for inflation? And that is have maybe, say, a 1 to 4% rate for inflation, allowing for the fact that we've had it for many, many years at around about 1.7, 1.2 inflation rate leading up to the 2020 time period. So why would you want to push it to 2 to 3% when it's already at a much more benign level of below 2% already? It doesn't make sense. Alan Kohler suggests, why not abolish the target altogether? Essentially, it is a meaningless type of target to go for, and when you shoot for a meaningless KPI, there are going to be a lot of people on the sidelines that are going to cop it unnecessarily. And that's what we're seeing currently today. People that are renting the houses and units and so forth like that literally cannot afford it, and yet they're being punished for something that they have no control over. The people that are taking on the mortgages are being punished for something that they have no control over. So you've got a situation here where obviously the retailers can't really change their prices, so what's the point? I believe it's important that we have no particular inflation target, and if they are going to move it up and down, maybe to move it up and down different metrics, and leave it a little bit more flexible so that people who are actually in the consumer scenario actually have something that they can take advantage of for themselves, and that is maybe, say, an interest rate there that's affordable for people and it's not going to affect people who rent. This is David Newton speaking. Please remember to like and subscribe. I've got more videos like this coming up in the near future. Check out the videos that I've got suggested here from YouTube right in front of you. Bye for now.